Is that your pile of
action.
candy? Is that your pile of candy on the desk right there?
Okay.
Take two. We just filmed 20 minutes of this with no sound.
Okay. Moving on. So we were talking about the art walk.
Well, nobody knows what we were talking about because they weren't listening to it.
So we have an art walk coming up November 18th, which is Saturday, 6 to 9. And it's our first one. So we've had some learning experiences. I wouldn't say pitfalls, but we haven't really had any pitfalls.
It's been going well. I mean, the rain's a little freakish.
We have rain today, but it says it's not going to rain in the evening on Saturday. So I'm just going with that. And we had the pitfall with the alcohol. So it was the first time we ever filled out a daily wine permit thing, which it wasn't too bad, but we didn't realize there was like a cutoff time, like a last call for alcohol based upon your event timing.
Yeah.
So that was something we learned because we said our event timing was 6 to 9. So they want us to do a last call at 8:15. And we're like, no.
Yeah, it's like middle of the afternoon.
Yeah, so granular, right?
I
Hate
know.
rules. I'm not a rule follower.
Really?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
So
we just did a whole podcast. Our sound was not on, so that's why we're kind of all of a sudden the beginning of our podcast is.
We did.
We were saying some really good content. So before we start over again, we were having some good conversation.
Yes.
Wish you guys could have heard it.
We'll repeat it. I can probably say it better the second time around.
There was a part about a strip club, but I don't know what that was about. So, but you were okay. So we talked about you read a book in COVID.
I read a book.
It's
so funny because today I had to pick up some art we talked about we have a new gallery opening called Untitled, but we have a gallery show in our shop as well. So I had to go today I went to the artist's house to pick up all their artwork. And he was asking me about our story. And he was like, why did you choose to have a gallery or a building or anything in the downtown Ontario, arts district where you're off Holt and Palm? And so I was telling him the whole story about, we just loved the building and, we really didn't intend to have a consumer facing business. We just thought we were going to put our real estate and construction office in this building. And that was pretty much it. We really didn't think much further until we read the zoning.
Yeah. Small detail.
Read the zoning, people.
Small detail.
Before you buy a building, which said we're in the arts district, which we did not know. And you have to have a consumer facing side. So that's how the store started, which led to the gallery, which led to the other gallery, which is leading to the restaurant. And it's a whole situation now. And now actually, which led to the festival, third Saturday, which is its own business unto itself.
Yes.
So not only did we have to create a new business, Holt and Palm, which is a retail store that we didn't have before. To support the retail store, we had to start a event business, which is like a monthly festival called Third Saturday. And then that spawned 2 galleries, basically.
Yeah.
And a whole, kind of like ecosystem of other things. So it is kind of interesting, how things happen.
Well, I think what happened is we kicked out our renter. We had a renter on our building facing Holt. It was
Lupita's Furniture.
Lupita's Furniture. And we kicked out her 15 people that were living in the attic as well. So we kicked them out, had the building up for rent. Right now is a slow time for retail, anything really kind of in downtown commercial. And so it was a small 4,000 square foot. So it wasn't overly huge space.
I don't think you actually listed it though, did we?
No, we did. We listed it on the MLS. Not the LoopNet, we're too cheap.
Okay.
Not CoStar. So anyways, but you went to a gallery, you went to a showing in LA. You went to...
I did. We went to see Basquiat.
Well,
his
you didn't see him,
show
he's dead,
at the Grand LA, which is different. So you and I went to see the Basquiat show at the Broad. And And then the next week.
Yeah, so if you're not familiar with the Broad in LA, it is a cool museum. Kaufman and Broad, KB Holmes, that's who has his own. He's now passed away, but he was definitely into the arts, and he has this massive art collection there, and
Massive.
it's huge.
Crazy.
They lend their art all around I think almost all around the world, or if it's not the country, to other
He's
galleries.
definitely an art hoarder.
Yes. Really cool. And so then the following week you went to the Basquiat.
Yes. So
And
Danae and
that
I
was different than the Bro, because the Bro is very white, very traditional.
Yeah. So the Broad is, so it is what it is. And it was cool, but across the street at the Grand LA, his family put on a exhibition for Basquiat, his two sisters. And it was it was a totally different vibe. It was all dark, and the walls were black, and it was very moody. And I just, I was telling Danae, like, I really love, like, this vibe. Like, this is a cool vibe, like, for a museum, for an art exhibit. And that kind of inspired me.
And hence came our gallery, which is all black.
So we came home, so after...
In traditional Mia fashion, she said, quote, "How long am I supposed to look at that empty building for? Let's begin demo, like, immediately." And there went, within like 2 weeks, we demoed everything out, ripped all the floors out, painted inside, outside black, tinted the windows gold, reflective gold.
Happened really quickly. And then we just did and then to hang the pictures, we did like conduit and chain, which I think is really cool. They didn't have that at Basquiat. We came up with that.
They're not cool like us.
But it was just trippy because I was just like, I don't know, the building was sitting there. We had talked about it being a gallery and a tattoo studio and all these things, but and we were trying to get other people on board to help us kind of like operate these things, but no one really wanted to do it. People talked about doing it, but at the end of the day, no one stepped up to do it.
I would say most people, including people that were going to rent the building, most people are all just talk. Most people just talk.
Yeah.
They just talk, and when push comes to shove, they never perform. They talk a good ball game. They say all the things they're going to do, but then when you actually say, "Hey, where does the where do we actually start?" All of a sudden, it's crickets. You don't hear from them. It's gone.
Yeah.
They can't do it all of a sudden, and so I think that's one thing that our company culture has been. If we're going to talk about it, we do it as a company.
We do it. Yeah, we're doers.
And it doesn't mean everything. It doesn't always mean everything pans out. Everything's always a success. We fail like anyone else. Mm-hmm. But you can never look back and say, "Well, you didn't try," right? Because we always are doing something to move the needle forward.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't think we were talking about this before. I don't think we're afraid to fail, and I mean, failure is baked into the journey of success, really. I mean, nobody just goes, from point A to point B, and there's no detours. Everyone has ideas and decisions that don't pan out, so it's fine. And I think we were talking about this too before, where like when you're talking about the things we're doing, whether it's the gallery or the restaurant or the store or any other business, the wholesale property management, you just can't focus on failure, and you can't even really think of it at all, or even let it into your mindset. You have to just keep one step at a time, one foot in front of the other. I
would say one of the biggest flaws in our society today is people
overthink.
They give themselves from the beginning the okay to fail. Right, we hear this. It's okay to fail, and while it is okay to fail,
it is okay.
They build that in.
We shouldn't think about it.
Well, they build it in, right? So they build in. Well, if I don't like this marriage, I'll just get divorced. That's the thought process that people take, right? Yeah. And that's not no. How about if you don't like what you're in, you fix it and make it work, right? That's a novel concept. But it was funny because I did a podcast last week, which. Last Friday, God, it felt like 2 weeks ago already. Like Monday, because we've been working throughout the weekend, I emailed Alfred. I'm like, "Dude, when's your podcast coming out?" It's Spitting Fire with Alfred.
When does it come out?
He's going to let me know. He does it every other week.
Oh.
He's not like us. He doesn't do it every week. Alfred, if you're listening, dude, well, hello, we're doing it every week.
Every week.
But anyways, he had asked me. His podcast is different. He's he's more from the club background promotion. So he jumps on. It's 9:30 in the morning. He's super loud in his mic, and I'm sitting there. I barely woke up, and I'm like,
we're more low key.
And I literally said, I go, dude, you have way more energy than I have. And he started to laugh, and so he just kind of asked me a series of questions. And one of the questions he asked me was, with so much going on in your life, right? Because they're in real estate. He works for Century 21. He's got a good team, and we've actually done some stuff with their office. He said, with so much going on, how do you make time? How is your work-life balance? And I told him, I go, work-life balance?
Mm-hmm.
I told him that was a made-up word by millennials. It doesn't make it's a made-up phrase. Work-life. There's no such thing as work-life balance. Like.
Well, we balance it because we're together.
But
during work.
And let me rephrase that. The question was asked because we work together, husband and wife, and we work together, side by side every day on what we do. And he said, "How do you handle work-life balance?" And he was kind of baiting me in this question because he wanted to talk about he's been hesitant about getting his wife involved.
Fighting or something.
Well, getting his wife involved, yeah, because hey, what does that look like? And I told him, I said, listen, it doesn't make sense. So at 5 o'clock, we're done work. We have a big escrow closing. We're going to go eat dinner. We're not supposed to talk about it. Like I'll just wait till tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock to ask you that question. I told him, I go, there's no such thing as work-life balance. I go, we work 24/7, but I go, check this out. We live 24/7. He goes, what do you mean? I go, during the middle of the day, we're talking about what we're going to have for dinner, where we're going to go on vacation.
It's just all combined. It really is.
Exactly. This is our life, right? And so we don't deviate between home and work. I mean, the closest thing we have is if we're physically at work, we're physically at home, right? But even then, we're working. We're talking about work.
Yeah.
We have laptops. We have communication with our team. But we were kind of talking about that, and so he said, yeah, I was thinking about, getting, and he may have said that to me off air, so I hope I'm not spoiling that for you, Alfred. But he said, he goes, I've been hesitant about, involving my wife. And I said, what does your wife do? And she had a career, but she's home with the kid. And I said, look, that's super admirable, right? I mean, taking care of your kids is first and foremost. No one ever says I shouldn't have spent this much time with my kids, right? No one ever says that, right? Yeah.
I should have spent a lot less time with my child.
Yeah. So, but I told him, I was telling him, look, you know what? Who knows you better than your wife? Right? Who knows you better? Your wife knows ins and outs. She knows when you're happy, sad, if you're angry. She knows what makes you tick, right? Like she knows everything. So I go, when you're faced with work challenges, stressful challenges, whatever the case is, your wife can literally talk you off the edge, even if you don't realize that's what's happening, right? And so he was kind of thinking about it, and he was like, yeah, I never really thought of it that way. I go, literally in history,
your partner should be your best asset.
Yeah, I mean, literally in history, behind every great man was a great woman. Although Abe Lincoln, I don't know about his wife. She was kind of a complainer. I read a lot of books on it. But anyway, but there usually is somebody behind that person
and
that is supporting that person.
It does take time though to get in that groove. I think so.
No, it does.
I mean, we've worked together like many years.
Like how many?
Many, like decades. Like
decades?
At least 2 decades plus. So, we understand each other's like ebbs and flows, and we work well together, but it does take time and patience, and in the beginning you have to work at it, and you have to like understand how the person is and just their idiosyncrasies, and when they get stressed.
It's the same thing when you first get married. If you were not living with your spouse and you got married, I mean, I know most people live together now before they get married, but either way, when you first begin to live together, right? Let's just hope that you're married. You tend to fight more, right? Because you're merging two lives together.
Yeah,
you're merging two lives.
You don't really understand how this other person.
I like to throw my socks on the back of the couch. Your wife doesn't like that.
But you have to. But I think, I think what people's problems are, they try to maintain like their status quo of what they were used to, and as opposed to compromising and blending into the other person.
Yeah.
But also when you say socks, that reminds me of the Dr. Laura thing that I think is so like powerful, because even though I don't think she's on the radio anymore,
she probably was canceled.
It's like she was on a long time ago, but there was this she was a radio host, or she had a show. Her name was Dr. Laura, and people would call to complain about their spouses, this and that. Oh, he leaves his clothes everywhere. He throws his socks around his shoes, or he doesn't pick up after he snacks, or all kind of petty things. And then she literally would say, "Would you rather he be dead?" Which I thought was hilarious. And
I use that all the time now.
That always stuck with me, because basically the moral of the story is like, that's just meaningless, petty crap that does not matter. And at the end of the day, like, who cares? There's so many bigger things, and you have your person. That's what matters. Let him through. If if he can't put his socks away, so be it.
You heard it here, folks.
Look away.
Yes,
and don't be a nag.
Excuse
and
me,
just move on.
sound guy. Can we get a clip of that? I would like to make that my ringtone for whenever. I do not
bug you about anything.
No, I know. Whenever
I don't bug you about anything. Yeah. So I mean, and that's the thing. And I think we do the same thing with our child. Like, I didn't want to spend their whole life like, did you do your homework? Did you do your chores? Did you do this? Did you do that? That's not enjoyable to me.
I did that secretly behind your back.
So I literally eliminated all of that. And I feel like we just have such a more pleasant life, because, he can leave his socks around. It's fine. If I don't like it, I freaking pick him up. It's not that big of a deal.
That's what I'm talking about.
And vice versa.
Are we really having a full and 5-minute conversation on my socks?
We are. But, that's a big thing. People get these pet peeves, and,
I just think that
they become sticklers. Like,
I think that if you're working with your spouse, or if you have a spouse that is not working and you have your own business, your spouse should be
a different story.
Your spouse should be involved in your business. I think your spouse should be involved. Your family should be involved in your business. If you have a business, you run your own business. I'm not talking about if you have partners and all that. That's a different dynamic. But if you run your own business and your family is not involved in your business, I think that's a huge mistake. Your family is your biggest cheerleader. Your family is your greatest strength. And you learn so much. And we were kind of talking about it, and I was telling him that.
And you can trust them.
Yeah, and I was telling him, I learned so much even from like my kids sitting in the backseat of the car, because they would hear us talk. And then they would just out of the blue have some opinion. They'd be like,
they regurgitate it.
Well, no, they would be like, no, Dad, you do need to be on Instagram. You're losing millions of members of your, you're not getting the audience you need, And I'm like looking back, like, what are you telling me what to do? No, you're mistaken. And then they'd be like, look at all these other people in your industry, and they would start showing it. Are you drinking my wine?
My wine is empty. I don't know where my server is.
Knock it off. So, but yeah, so I mean, so we were just having that conversation, but I just thought that was an important aspect, right? Like working together, and I know, like, even working
together is key.
Yeah, we have some other people coming into the shop, and they're talking about like, hey, me and my wife, we want to start a business together. How do we do that? And it's not so much identifying what the business is going to be. It's going to be, how are you going to be together, and can you identify your strengths and weaknesses
and your different talents? Yeah, exactly, and maximizing those. And, it's...
Yeah, like, so, for example, my talent, like, I can use a computer, and Mia does not know how to print.
That's not true.
Or turn on her computer.
I'm very computer savvy, okay? I just have a Mac. It's a little different.
Oh, yes. If you guys use Mac, kiss my ass. I hate Mac. They are the worst computer in the world. They connect to no peripherals whatsoever in the office. I don't know why we just can't have Windows.
I mean, we have different talents, which is good, for our business, and we do different things, and we do most things differently.
We do,
but it complements each other. And again, it's just a matter of respecting the other person, working with each, learning to work with each other, having patience. And if you can do that, then working with your spouse is, I feel like, amazing, because you're kind of killing two birds with one stone. You're spending time together and working and making money at the same time. So it does suck if you were at your business and they weren't there. So you're always kind of feeling pulled away, like, oh my gosh, I got to leave because I got to get home. But when your spouse is there, you don't have that feeling, and you can just focus on your work together. And I feel like you have a much better chance at success, because being an entrepreneur takes so many hours away from you. So really the only
Well, you
way
have
to do it is together.
If you're an entrepreneur, you have to obsess about your business. It's an unfortunate part of it, but you have to obsess about it. And if you are running your own business, you know what I'm talking about. You wake up in the morning, you're thinking about it. You're in the shower, you're thinking about it. You're going to bed, you're thinking about the things you need to get done. We're talking about Jeremiah from King's Brewing, and he was like, dude, I'm like rolling over at 1 a.m, sending emails to myself. I'm like, dude,
Same.
I'm right there with you.
I know.
It gets stuck in your head. You're like, oh crap, I forgot to do this. And you're sending an email to yourself, right? So what you do, it's 24/7. How do you say, where's your work-life balance, right? And I get the idea behind work-life balance is like, hey, I'm going to spend time with my kids. It's not going to be 100% work, and we always make time for our kids and stuff like that. But we made time for our kids at work. Our kids came to work. Our kids played in our office. We had an unemployment claim because Elijah, when he was like maybe 5, he threw a rubber
2, maybe.
He threw a rubber ball at one of the employees' heads.
He used to throw things at employees.
She made her unemployment claim. And their son threw a rubber ball at my head when I was at my desk.
But it's so hard. I mean, I feel like being an entrepreneur is sort of a sickness in a way, because even if you're at a restaurant, you just can't. You just can't go eat at a restaurant. You're like looking at everything. You
have an opinion.
You're looking at how the restaurant is built. You're looking at the servers. You're looking at the food. You're looking at the presentation. You're constantly surveying and assessing every single thing.
Because we do construction, when I'm at a hotel, specifically in the bathroom using the restroom, I am because you're sitting there, right? You're there, you're sitting there, you're there for a couple of minutes, you're looking around the little room, and I'm noticing literally everything is wrong. I'm like, that tile's crooked. Me
too. The fit and finish of everything.
Like we go to the Cosmo, and I'm telling you, we get the same room a lot, and the damn light over the toilet is crooked. How they didn't adjust that junction box so the light would be straight is beyond me. But you see like the little things, and it's like it just bugs you, where the average person, if they're not in the trade, they don't pay attention to that. It's like completely over them. But you obsess on the things that you know about.
Yeah.
And so because you know business and you understand.
Or hypercritical.
Yeah.
And that can be good or bad.
Yeah. We try not to put Yelp reviews out. Because we don't want the same Yelp reviews. Because we make the same mistakes other businesses make. I just got off the phone with a client who was upset. She was like, what's going on over there? She was upset over her account. And I told her, I said, listen, we're human. We make mistakes. I'm here. We talked about it. She was happy. We were laughing by the time she got off the phone. I was able to, take care of her issues. They were minor in comparison to anything, but we make mistakes, right? And I always tell people, like even new clients, I tell them anybody can manage during good times. Anybody can do something during good times. It's when things go south, things get really screwed up, we can step up and fix almost anything. That's where we shine, right? So if you're the president
problem solvers,
and it's peacetime and the economy's roaring and you're just sitting back doing nothing, you're like, cool. But if everything's going to hell and war and this and that, then all of a sudden you have a completely different, and that is not don't take that as me endorsing any one politician, okay? But I'm just saying, the point being is, anyone can do something in an easy time. It's when you're challenged and when you're forced, and kind of what we were talking about.
Just like a real estate deal.
Well, and kind of what we were talking about before, I think on our last podcast we were just doing 10 minutes ago that wasn't being recorded, was when you have limited resources and when you're challenged, you become more creative and you begin to do things that are unique and that make you shine, right? And you get creative. You figure it out. You're like, if you look at a problem and say, this is gonna happen. Like our art walk, this is gonna happen.
Rain or shine.
Yeah, we need room for this or that, or there's a problem. Okay, I'm gonna fix it, right? And so you get creative. You start making phone calls. You start thinking about how you're gonna make it work. And at the end of the day, you pull it off. That's what makes you good at what you do, right? That's where you shine. And I learned that in construction when working in Vegas. There was always a problem. Always a problem.
There's always a problem.
Well, like when you watch those shows, those reality shows, they're always highlighting the problem. Like everyone's gonna die like in 2 minutes, but yet they seem to get through it. But when you're construction, heavy construction, like big hotels and stuff, it's the same thing. Oh my God, this is gonna fall off the edge of the building. This is gonna happen if we don't do it right. But yet they always seem to get it up there, and it never seems to.
Well, it's like with the art gallery. Like my biggest, I think, worry is, oh my gosh, what if I, for some reason, ruin someone's art piece, right? Like I dropped it, or something happened to it, or it got messed up just in some way. But like in my mind, I'm like, I like tell myself, well, that's definitely going to happen at some point.
Correct.
You know what I mean? Like there's, at some point I'm going to damage something. And so I just have to like know that for myself.
Well, then they'll just have to fix it.
Yeah, exactly.
I
But
mean, it happens.
So I try
Life
not
happens. Life happens.
to like get anxiety about that. I just have to know like, okay, well, and then when it does happen, it's not going to be the last time it happens. Like that's just part of the process. Like, yeah, you're handling all this stuff. And of course, something at some point is going to get messed up. And that's just how it is.
Yeah. Well,
So-
I mean, if you're starting a business, you are going to piss off customers.
Mm-hmm.
You are going to do something wrong. You are going to give bad service. If you own a business, you're going to still give bad service. Like, listen, even In-N-Out can give bad service. Even Chick-fil-A can give bad service because your service is only as good as the person you're interacting with, right? It happens. And people have a bad day for whatever reason, right? It happens. I mean, happens more so at McDonald's than, say,
people
In-N-Out.
perceive things differently on different days too.
Correct. And so these things are going to happen. And so the question is how do you take that information? How do you digest it? And how do you change? How do you change what you're doing to fix that? Right. So we're critical when we go out. I know that kind of started with, hey, we're kind of critical when we go out. If we go to a restaurant and you have really bright operating lights, just know we don't like the place. If your chairs are hard, and I'm uncomfortable after like 5 minutes, it sucks. If you have what you think looks like a comfortable booth, but it's really just fabric over wood, it's probably not going to be good. Right.
Which happened to us the other day.
Yeah, we sat down and like boom, we both broke our ass.
It looks fluffy, and you sit down and you're like, oh, it wasn't.
Yeah, that hurt. Yeah, that hurt. Right. So
It's happened a few times.
These things, and you're not going to make everyone happy. Some people don't care. Some people will be uncomfortable, have bright spotlights on them, and eat food and say, oh yeah, it was great. And other people will be like, no, I don't want to do that. So you're not going to make everyone happy.
Yeah.
Right. But we're critical. If you're a business, you're probably critical when you interact with other businesses that are doing very similar things that you're doing, right? And that's kind of human nature, right?
Yeah.
We tend to...
We love to critique things.
Yeah. Bottom line is, we're doing this festival. We hope everyone comes out, checks it out. You guys can grumble. You can tell us it sucked afterwards. I mean, even In-N-Out did their 75-year anniversary at the racetrack in LA.
75?
75 years.
Wow.
And if you went online, there was the 80-20 rule still applies. 20% of the people were total jackasses doing nothing but bitching because lines were long. Although one person was like, it was sold out. What did you expect? To just walk right in?
I know.
So some people have no tolerance whatsoever. And yet, ironically, they never do anything. They can criticize people and do anything.
Yeah, there's so many moving parts when you're
Yeah.
putting together an event.
We're gonna have this event. We're probably gonna be critical of our event. We're probably gonna say all the things that we didn't like. Maybe people will notice or don't notice, but come out, check it out. I think the moral of our kind of topic today is we like to think that we make shit happen. In fact, I want that to be the title of this one. We make shit happen. Are you listening to me? Our sound guy is like literally on IG not listening to me. All right.
Yes, we are doers. We make things happen, and we just keep moving forward.
No, and
we don't think really about how if or how it will fail. We just keep putting one foot in front of the other.
Yeah, and if you're listening to our podcast, we want you to make shit happen. Like, make it happen. Like, stop giving excuses. Stop saying why you can't do something. Stop saying,
Yeah.
I'll end it on this. Having this conversation with Eric last week was, if I only had the money. And for years, and if you're in business, maybe you've said this, if I only had the money. And for years, I said, if I only had the money. And what I realize now, hindsight being 2020, if I only had the money, how that statement would have ended was, I would have spent it on something stupid, still not had any customers, and still went broke. Like, the money is very rarely your problem. Your problem usually is, first of all, customers, demand, right? And we tend to think that if we had money, that demand and customers would happen, right? And so...
No, I think the key is you just keep moving forward, whether and I know we talked about this earlier, but it didn't get recorded. You talk about, like, you keep moving forward with what you have, and, each step. You just keep moving forward step by step.
Yeah, 1 foot at a time.
You may not know how you're going to get to the next step, but that doesn't matter. You get one step at a time completed, and that's really all you can do.
Yeah, you look at, here's a good exercise that I like to do, and I do it myself. Things that keep us from moving forward are what we worry about. The things we worry about are what keep us from moving forward. That's just a known fact. Buy one of those small spiral notebooks off Amazon. Date each page and write the things down that you're worried about today. Just write them down. And then the next day, write them down. And the next day, and write them down. And even if it's the same worry, write it down. I guarantee you, if you look back in time, you will realize.
Like, why was I worried about that?
Well, you'll realize that 90%, if not more, of the things you worried about never even came to fruition. What it did was it took mental capacity from you, kept you from moving forward, and it was nothing that was actually a concern. And your worries will change day by day. And when you go and look back and say 6 months ago, you'll be like, yeah, why was I worried about that? Because obviously hindsight being 20/20 at that point, you'll go, that was stupid for me to even worry about because it was a non-issue. But write your worries down, literally write them down, and then just move on. And think about, if I'm here today, if today is, what's today? Today's Wednesday. Okay, Wednesday. Are any of these worries going to materialize today? If the answer is no, forget about them.
Yes.
Forget about them. You wrote them on paper, so you're not going to forget because they're on paper. Move on. Only tackle the worry that's going to happen in this 24-hour period. If it's not going to happen before you go to sleep next, don't worry about it.
Yes.
And just take that practice every single day, and you will be amazed at the things that maybe you're going through a lawsuit. And if you're saying lawsuit, well, if you're in business and you don't have lawsuits, you're not doing a lot of business. I'm going to tell you that. So maybe you're going through a lawsuit, and that lawsuit may take 2 years. Can you imagine for 2 years you're worried every single day, paralyzing you from moving forward and doing something? Where if you said, hey, I don't have to worry about it today, and you don't worry about it, you don't worry about it, you don't worry about it, and you worry about it 2 years from now, how much progress did you make in your life? How much further are you in your business and your personal life by the time you have to worry about that stupid lawsuit? That was something that happened 2 years ago, which was probably so small that is going to be ridiculous. But you can make it large by worrying about it every single day.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah.
That's so true. Every day is its own day.
So
honestly.
So don't come here like some people do and say, this is a lot of work, we can't do it. Because you know what we say when people say that? We tell them to get the hell out of our face. We don't give a shit. It is a lot of work. You're right, it is a lot of work. Don't be a baby. It is a lot of work. You're going to have to be focused on it. You're going to have to be obsessed with it. Involve your family. Involve your kids in it. Make it a family affair. But make shit happen. Don't just talk about it. And don't listen to my podcast for month and month and month and month. Don't be one of those people that go to every freaking event and buy the book in the back. Those guys just want to sell you books anyways. They don't give a shit if you do your business or not. They just care if you buy their books. Don't be that guy who's got to keep getting motivated by going to these speakers.
Yes.
Motivate yourself by actually doing something. And I know I'm motivated. The art has been motivating me. I'm tired. We haven't stopped working in 2-3 days?
Yes.
No, 2-3 weeks, excuse me. And rather than being tired, I'm motivated because all the energy from the artists coming in. So happy to be in the gallery, right? So
no, I know it's contagious.
Yeah. So all right, cool. So we're out, and we will report back after our art walk, after our gallery launches. But we hope you guys come out. It's going to be
November 18th,
this Saturday, downtown Ontario. And if you're listening from a foreign, we're not talking about Ontario, Canada. This is Ontario, California. And it's going to be from 6 to 10. We bumped it up a little. We have a beer garden, food.
I mean, we stay till whenever.
We have the after-hour party. So you come out. Bring your credit card. We want to sell you some artwork. We want to give you a good time. Want to show you what's going on. Meet with you guys. So come out, enjoy. There's tons of artists. It's going to be an awesome event. Downtown Ontario is going to change. We're making that commitment to you guys. We're going to change it for the better. We're going to make sure Ontario is on the map when it comes to art. We're here. We're making it happen. And we want you guys along for the journey.
Yay.
All right. See you guys out. Late.
Bye.
Hey guys, this is Damien. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed listening to us ramble about real estate and property management. Don't forget to check out all our social media and visit our website for wholesale property management. You can find the link in the bio. If you have topics, questions, or crazy situations you want us to talk about, send us a message. See you on the next episode of ModTalk.